The Texans take on the Cowboys tonight on Monday Night Football. Welcome, everyone. Andy and Andrew from WagerTalk.com. We're going to break down the Texans and the Cowboys from a props and parlay betting standpoint. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Give us a best bet in the comment section. And as you know, if you don't have a hot take, you don't have a big best bet that you want to share in the comment section, we'll give you a code word of the day. How about major? MAJO or major. Let's get a major comment in the comment section here. Just type that. As you know, it helps the algorithm, helps boost our ranking on YouTube. So, all right, Andrew, let's get into it here. We'll start with passing props here. Oh boy, do you have the onions to take it over on Cooper Rush passing? That's my question to you.
I'm not sure I do. Andy. But at the end of the day, I think that I could be tempted by looking at his attempts because I have a feeling he's going to have to be throwing the ball. And we've talked about these attempts versus completions versus yards and this argument quite a bit. But when you look at this matchup in particular, you look at the point spread. You look at how short some possessions have been for this Cowboys team. I feel like it's either a couple of big plays and they're able to do something with it, or it's a quick 3 and out. This is not a team that has been driving the field for a long time lately, but I feel like in this matchup with the point spread, we're seeing what the odds makers are expecting. And, kind of with how much we see of a run game for Houston, they're going to try and milk the clock. So I think when Houston gets it, when Dallas gets it, I think they're going to have to kind of, hold on to things and not give the ball back as fast as they can. So I would probably look towards the passing attempts number over. One thing I wanted to throw by you was your thoughts on the INT for Cooper Rush, because under in 2 straight games, and that over, that's pretty juicy, man. I saw the same number on my book. I'm half tempted to roll the dice with the under with the plus 125 again. I think that you look at that minus 165, they're not putting him in positions to fail. And that's the thing, is that people will say, Dak's throwing picks. Dak can do this. Well, it's you know what? They're probably not giving him the same game plan as they really were. So is it time, Andy? Is the minus 165 worth it? Or is the plus 125 still a good bet right now? Because, hey, he's being pretty safe with the ball.
Yeah, he was 13 to 23 last week. I mean, not a lot of risk taking there. They're just
stay away from completions. No completions for me, please.
Yeah. I was actually looking at Stroud to not throw an interception. I'm kind of wondering, there's not really a need for him to take chances tonight either. He had 2 last week, but that was in a loss. And I have a feeling once they get up, which I think they will get up, I think this Dallas team's kind of, listen, it's a team of professional athletes. You never want to completely ignore that, but injuries, man, this Cowboys team just cannot escape the injuries. It feels like just a really, really bad year for them where just nothing has gone right. So I feel like Stroud and Nico Collins will be on the same page again. I see a lot of completions for Stroud. I really don't see him try to thread the needle on one. And you're right. Once it gets to the second half, it'll be the Joe Mixon show. So, listen, I would take the under on Cooper. Guy had 45 yards passing last week. 45. Where's the rest of this coming from? Now, CeeDee Lamb pops up on the injury report with a back injury, and you're kind of going, do you really want to risk CeeDee Lamb at this point, with the back injury and stuff? The leading receiver last week, it was Jake Ferguson with 24 yards. This is just not a good offensive team. So I would lean the under on Cooper Rush on his passing, and I would lean CJ Stroud to not throw an interception. I was looking at his stats. So he threw 2 last week, but before that, none against the Jets, none against the Colts, none against the Packers, 1 against New England and Buffalo. But, none against Jacksonville, none against Chicago, none against Indy again. So he did throw 2 against Minnesota, but I don't know. It just feels like when they're playing well and when they're winning, he's not throwing that many. He's not throwing interceptions. He's not doing anything dangerous on that one. Yeah. So I could also be talked into CJ Stroud over 1.5 touchdown passes. Cowboys have given up 2 to the last couple quarterbacks. And another thing about the Eagles last week, Jalen Hurts rushed for 2, but he also threw for 2. And Jalen Hurts is kind of different in that aspect where they get in and he just runs the ball in. So I feel like that's not really what Stroud does. If they get in close, it could be you could easily get over this passing touchdown prop. So let's move to yeah.
I was I was just gonna say, Andy. The only thing that worries me a little bit is that the Cowboys, the one thing they've actually been decent against is kind of the completions and that kind of stuff. So maybe I did have written down the under 1.5 for Stroud and touchdown passes and under on his completions. But if I were to pick one under that I like the most, I probably would say completions. You talked about the idea of him not taking any risks, and I completely get it, and I'm with you. But the more I look at this from a prop perspective, and the more I even heard you talk there just from the beginning of our show, it doesn't sound like we have a whole lot of faith collectively in this Cowboys team. And we're not saying that we're thinking they're going to get destroyed, but I think that there's going to be a heavy run purpose for this Texans team. I don't think we're going to see some of these drives that are going to be massive because there's so many holes in the Dallas defense right now that I feel like even if they had a simplistic game plan, even if they're throwing slants all game, their drives aren't going to be, 5 or 6 completions per drive. I find it hard to believe. So that's kind of the reason why I look towards the under. And Stroud has gone under 1.5 passing touchdowns in 4 straight games. And playing a team that has given up some touchdowns to running backs as well is a little bit tempting. But to the point you're making as well is, hey, this Dallas defense, their secondary, if we think Houston's going to put up some points against them, then we could certainly see it coming. But and I just wanted to mention how crazy it is because I was looking at it while we were talking. The fact that, I talked about Cooper Rush. You take a look at his attempts. He had 115 yards against Atlanta, and that was on 25 attempts. Like, that is crazy. So there's a reason why sometimes we'll look towards one and not the other. And someone's probably listening right now and thinking this guy's crazy for taking an attempts prop on Cooper Rush. But if you're taking it over, what else would you take? Because it's not going to be completions, it's not going to be yards, and it sure as hell isn't going to be touchdowns. So I think just game script purposes is kind of probably why I'd look towards that. And the one you're clicking on right now is kind of interesting.
How about under 28.5 longest completion?
Oh man.
Yeah, I could get there. I mean, when your leading receiver had 24 yards on a bunch of catches, that is the definition of not stretching the field. So that's an interesting one. All right, let's move to rushing props here, Andrew. I think everyone's going to be gravitating towards Joe Mixon, and it makes sense. Pretty big number, 87.5. I don't know. I will tell you, I like the under half a yard on CD Lamb. Why would you be giving end rounds to CD Lamb? That makes absolutely no sense. Now it is the Cowboys, so who knows? But I just don't understand if CD Lamb is designated with the back injury now all of a sudden why they would be sending him flying around the line of scrimmage here. I don't know. What's your take on Mixon? I think that's going to be the popular play tonight.
It's going to be the popular play, but I think it's rightfully so. If it didn't end up being the case, I think it would just be because they started just moving the ball around, going other ways, getting young guys. Just the more we talk about this game, the more I'm kind of scared of how much I'm starting to just think what's Dallas going to do in this game? This sets up. I feel like whenever you and I talk here on these Mondays for these primetime games, there's one or two plays that we think. I think a couple weeks ago it might have been J.K. Dobbins. And that ended up working out really well. Sometimes there's a guy that you could expect to just have a really good game. I wouldn't be shocked to look at longest run for him because that could be kind of a good one to look at because the fact that he's going to be getting all these opportunities, he's going to get these attempts. And I think, again, if I do like some unders on CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon's certainly going to get his opportunities. I'll tell you one I do like, Andy, is under 12.5 rushing attempts for Rico Dowdle. I think that's a pretty good bet to look at here. He's hit it in 3 straight games, but he's hit it in a lot of games. I mean, he hit it against Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, lost it against Pittsburgh, Giants, Baltimore, New Orleans, Cleveland, Green Bay. I mean, you look down the list, of course, there's been different depth chart scenarios within all of those games, but when it comes down to it, if I like any sort of attempts or anything to do with the quarterback rush for the Cowboys, and we do not think they're going to probably be leading at any point in this game, I'm not really too excited to go to the window and think that Rico Dowdle is going to get the ball handed off to him. And I know some might say, hey, look, you got to open up the running game. You got to make things easier for Cooper Rush. But at the same time, Andy, when are they going to be in a position in this game to get this guy 13 touches? It's just not something that I really see being something that can happen. Like, I honestly am a little bit more inclined to take the under on Mixon just because of how high that number is. I think he could have a fantastic game and somehow go under that. But I just look at Rico and I think that for him, it's under for a whole different purpose, that he's just not going to be able to with the game script. What are they going to be down like 14, 17 points and they're going to just keep handing the ball off? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Rico Dowd on 12 for 53. I will also clarify on my take about CeeDee Lamb. I know he's gone over the last couple weeks, but the back injury is what terrifies me about that one. So,
Would you say
yeah,
those mostly happen, Andy, in like competitive, like closer point spread type games, like those, like CD, like kind of more unique guys, like
yeah,
receivers running the ball and stuff like that?
yeah, and also, I mean, he's rushed the ball a few times the last couple weeks. Don't the Texans probably have that sniffed out? Like when they see CeeDee Lamb going flying across in motion, like, don't you think it might be coming? Also, I think they crowded the line. I think what did we see? We saw yesterday, like Deebo Samuel. He had like one handed off to him, and they knew it was coming, and they tackled him for like an 8-yard loss or something, like that. So, um, I find this 55.5 interesting because Dowdle had 12 carries for 53 yards last week. I mean, he is the guy. This Texans rush defense is good. I wouldn't say like amazing. I wouldn't say great. But the Cooper Rush over 1.5 rushing is a little bit interesting. He had 2 for 2 yards last week. He had a couple. I think he had a couple sneaks or whatever, but
I
nothing
can't
that I'll
see him taking a kneel later on tonight. So
I doubt he's
um,
going to be kneeling the ball in victory formation. Maybe if they're down, that'd be amazing if they were down and he took knees to cash the under on that one. So, it's chalky, but I can't tell you I like the under on Joe Mixon yards. It'll be a pass for me on that one. I was really expecting this number to be in the 40s for Rico Dowdle, Andrew. I'm pretty surprised they went over on it. So rushing props, I just probably will not get to the window here. So. Real quick, guys, before we get to receiving props, first off, thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. If you don't have a hot take, just leave the word major in the comment section. And Andrew, I know you have a nice little promo code going up at WagerTalk. Tell us about that.
Andy, of course, we're selling daily picks across multiple sports, but I know you agree with me. It's important to get people on for a little bit longer term, whether it's 7, 30 days, 90 for the full season. So I've got a couple different sports going this week, and we're dipping our toes in the water of the NBA team totals. Of course, we're heavy into the NHL. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So week 6-9, 7 days of all plays, all sports, not just hockey, NFL as well, NBA team totals, a lot of different stuff going on. A week of all plays for $69 is a really good package there. Really good promo code, and you're going to get everything sent right to you. And that's the most important thing for me. We're off a 5% play, 5% win on Sunday night. The CFL 4% winner, and one prop play going out tonight to NFL subscribers. So looking forward to a really great week, Andy. And again, if people want to join me, forget about the daily plays. Join me for a week 6-9, 7 days for $69. What about you? What's on the go for you this week?
Well, myself and Ronald Kabang decided to partner up, and actually, someone in the chat on Friday in the NBA show was like, "You and Ronald got to do a special and call it the Kablang special." So we did the Kablang special. You can get myself and Ronald combined. We're up 185 units this year. Number 2 in NBA. Ronald, I believe, is still holding down number 1 in NFL, and of course, we have all of our normal sports: NHL, NBA. We got a Formula One race. There'll be in Las Vegas this week. So you have those, and then you get all of Ronald's sports as well. So go ahead and grab that deal if you want myself and Ronald's plays. And then for today, I've got a really nice sleeper NBA pick tonight. 7-2 this season, and this particular play is at 6 out of 7 games. So I will definitely be live in the NBA tonight. So. All right, let's get back to receiving props. The return of Nico Collins. he's gone over this total in every single game this year. Do you think this is like the big exciting return of Nico Collins and they just pick up right where they left off, or do you think maybe this might be a little bit too much? Maybe they ease him in a little bit. What do you think?
I'll have his touchdown prop in a same gamer. I'll have his touchdown prop single bet. I'll probably be avoiding the 73.5 number because I think this could be a game where everybody gets love. I think everybody could get a touch here. There could be a lot of distribution. You could look at the stats later and see, this guy with 3 receptions, this guy with 4 receptions, this guy with a couple of receptions. The thing with Nico is that obviously you don't need that many receptions for him to get this because he definitely is someone that can catch a long ball. But honestly, I'd actually lean towards the under in this one. I'm just going to look towards his touchdown prop. Someone I want to look towards under actually on receiving props and receptions is Joe Mixon. We're going to talk up his rushing yards. Let's not have him do 2 jobs tonight. Let's not have him have to, what I mean? Like this is a thing in this matchup from what I looked at and from the Dallas Cowboys recently. That's one thing we can make light of for this Cowboys team, at least, is that they're not really giving up that many receiving yards to running backs. But I also think it's because other teams haven't had to use the running back. The receivers are wide open. Why use the safety blanket? Why use the guy 5 feet to your right when you can throw it 20 yards because the secondary is so bad? I don't think Mixon will be a part of this passing offense by any means tonight. I think that you look at how high his rushing attempts number was. That's where they're going to need him. That's where he'll be used today. I know in years past and even in some points this year, he's been a great rushing plus receiving guy. I remember when you, Matt, and I started the show together, Mixon receiving was one of my favorite props. I wasn't even looking at this guy with rushing yards. But now on the Texans in this particular matchup, I feel pretty strongly about him just being a running back only tonight and staying out of the receiving game. And I do think Jake Ferguson, you mentioned him last week. I love getting plus money. And the thing is, I don't like the fact that the guy's throwing him the ball hasn't really racked up any yards by any means. But I do think Jake Ferguson will be involved in the offense, Andy. I'm just not sure exactly how we play him tonight with that 4.5 number.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, it's hard to take some of these receiving numbers for the Cowboys into consideration because they only had. I mean, Ferguson had 24 yards last week. Now he's bumped up to 30. 4. Like, CeeDee Lamb 59.5. This guy that had 21 last week. The big play potential is always there for CeeDee Lamb, but is it really there with Cooper Rush? I would lean under on CeeDee Lamb. 6 catches for 21 yards last week, 3.5 yards. But the guy had 10 targets and got 6 catches for 21 yards. Just doesn't feel like this is a great CeeDee Lamb spot.
Well,
it's really
the
bad.
whole Kirk Cousins thing with the yards and attempts, like the same gamer.
Yeah.
This could be one of those games, and I'm not saying that I'm going to do this. I'll put that out there, but this could be one of those games where you could actually take like a guy over on receptions for the Dallas Cowboys and under on yards. Like
it's a good
he's
point.
Going to get fed all these passes, but Cooper Rush can't throw the ball past this many yards, so it's going to be like honestly, that would be the most redundant I'm taking this guy to get like 4 receptions, but under 30.5 yards or something.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb gets 7 catches for 51 yards and cashes the over. He could. Yeah, absolutely could.
There's a world that could happen.
Yeah. I would love to try and get to the window on Rico Dowdle under. He only had 3 catches for 3 yards last week, so didn't seem like they were really targeting him that much. It was just some panic dump off passes and such. And I think everyone's going to be crowding the line so much that it'll be hard for him to get going. So kind of a tough game. It really is a tough game. There's one that I would like to mention here, Andrew, is the Houston Texans over 12.5 points in the first half. They really struggled in the second half, but first half they seem to do really well. I think they're 6th in the league in first half scoring. That was before all the games on Sunday. They've gone over in like 6 out of 7, and this Cowboys team, gave up 14 points to Philly in the first half last week, but Philly fumbled a couple times in the first half. Like they could have been up easily 21. And with Nico Collins coming back, I wonder if this Texan team puts up more. My one concern that I do have with Houston is This is I probably should have started with this. Their offensive line is really bad. It's banged up and it's not good. CJ Stroud is under a lot of duress. Now, with all the injuries that Dallas has, are they going to be able to exploit that and get there? Well, a lot of teams have. They really have. But you get Nico Collins back, which is, going to completely change the way that Dallas does their defense. And then, you got Joe Mixon running the ball. So I don't know. It was just a thought that I had and why I probably won't get to the window on the Texans over in the first half. Now that I said that, though, they'll probably explode. But don't be surprised if CJ Stroud has a couple struggles where he gets sacked a few times. So I mean, listen to these sack totals, Andrew. 4, 8, 2, 4, 2. That's his last 5 games. That's a lot.
Wow.
I mean, that's 12 sacks in the last 2 games. Now, that was against the Jets and the Lions, games they lost. So,
well, Andy, I had a friend text me yesterday and say, how much better and how much more are people talking about Joe Burrow if throughout his career he had a good O-line? Like, imagine if at any point in his career in the NFL he had protection. Because look at that comeback that they had yesterday. Like, I saw there was this. I was on. It was like a YouTube Shorts, and I was looking at the comments. I swear, such a horrible attention span. I'm watching a YouTube short, and yet I'm looking at the comment section. And this guy said, this guy was like, Joe Burrow could pass for 832 yards and score like 250 points, and the other team will score 275 points. Like, no matter what this guy does, it's just not enough. Like, he'll put up some nice stats, he'll play well. It just doesn't seem to be like if other people put the numbers up that he puts up with this offensive line, I feel like he'd get more credit. People used to say Joe Burrow was overrated. I'm honestly here to say I honestly think he's underrated. He doesn't get the respect he deserves because of some of the games that they don't win. Because all people care about in the league are W's, and I completely understand it. But when my buddy texted me that, I was like, you know what? He never has had protection. Think back to their playoff run, their Super Bowl run. He had no protection during the Super Bowl run. That's kind of interesting. But if that's the thing, it does worry you, and it's important to look at, like you said, how many times a quarterback's going down, and how many times they're losing yardage because of that, right? I always say that like guys like Tom Brady were good at throwing the ball away. Tom wasn't that athletic, but obviously he's the GOAT, but he was good at throwing the ball away, so he never lost yardage.
Yeah. You want to try and do a same game parlay? Let's on this on this insane game. I'll let you go.
My first leg I want. I already mentioned that one.
You want Nico Collins to score a touchdown? Yeah. Okay, we'll do Nico Collins to score a touchdown. I'll do CJ Stroud to not throw a TD there. So we're already at plus 286. All right, give me one more leg.
Let's go. I really like that Mixon under on receiving.
Receiving props. All right.
Maybe we could do. See what we can get there.
Where's
we can't do under, can we? Or
we can do receptions. There he is. All right, you want to do the under 15.5?
Yeah, I like that one.
All right, Mixon under 15, and then I will go to rushing props, and let's have some fun with CD Lamb.
Let's go.
Not have there.
11-1.
There's an 11-1. I was very proud of myself. I hit a 7-1 on Friday's NBA tip-off. So we're on a roll here. All right, so we got Nico Collins, anytime touchdown score, under half an interception for CJ Stroud. We love the unders. Under Joe Mixon receiving, and under CD Lamb with a rushing yard.
That doesn't seem too crazy. That really doesn't seem too crazy to me for 11-1. I don't know. It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. Pretty good. So, all right, guys, don't forget to use the promo code week69 for 7 days for Andrew's picks. Don't forget to pick up myself and Ronald Kabang's end of year special. Both his and I plays all the way through the end of the year. The Kablang special that's over on WagerTalk's page. Again, hit the like button, leave us a comment, put the word major in the comment section. Good luck on all your plays tonight, and we'll see everyone later.